morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecast for January 12th through the 14th, which will focus mostly on our storm that is approaching for tonight into tomorrow. We are, this feel like a broken record here in terms of yet another significant storm approaching our area. This one, again, will be very similar to the one that we had last on Tuesday night into Wednesday, with snow changing to rain. And definitely some gusty winds, particularly mostly in Rutland and Bennington counties, although we'll have some wind on the backside as we change the wind direction from southeast to westerly and northwesterly. Then the east side of the mountains, Windsor and Windham County, get the winds on those sides. Probably not as significant, but still enough that we would definitely see some wind. So lots to talk about yet again. First of all, if you yesterday, when I did my forecast, the radar hadn't done anything, and you can just see how quickly this storm is exploding and how quickly it's moving, because we have a well-developing storm. We're going to look at satellite, and the satellite really shows how quickly this storm is developing, and it's kind of blowing up on top, well, not on top of us, but to the west of us, and then it's going to race off to the north and east. So one of the things that will definitely be true with this storm is not a long duration precipitation event. We probably start with the snow sometime between 10 and midnight, and likely we are done with most of the steady precipitation by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe 10, 11 o'clock in some places. But we'll have some leftover showers that'll eventually turn to flurries, both for Saturday afternoon and actually on Sunday, kind of as some of the last parts of the upper level low swing through with some snow showers and snow squalls on Sunday. But yeah, the bulk of the steady position comes through. Precipitation, I can say the word, I promise, comes through pretty quickly with this system. Let's take a look at that satellite. You can really kind of see how the storm, before we get to the upper level, the satellite, you can see, yeah, we are really developing. You can just see it's, the storm is just really getting going really quickly here. We got cloud tops, these, basically the colors, the warmer the color here is, that actually means the higher in the atmosphere, basically the higher the cloud tops are. And so you can just see that we have all these reds kind of showing up here, showing that we're just really developing very tall clouds, very much that, and that's indications of very rapidly rising air in all levels of the atmosphere, and where storm development is happening. And you can kind of see we're also starting to get some of this to happen a little bit further south as well. You can see, once again, strong influence of the subtropical jet stream, lots of energy at the upper levels. As a matter of fact, let's take a quick look before we get the temperatures. Let's take a look at that upper level. I show this map quite often, sorry about that, where we've got mid-level energy. This is vorticity, and you can see we've got a big trough here that's basically the support system at the mid and upper levels for our system, our surface low pressure system. And what happens here is you get rapid storm development when the little wave, kind of the more the shorter dent, happens within, especially on the eastern side of the bigger overall trough. So here's your kind of overall trough that kind of is really across a lot of the United States right now. And then you've got this very vigorous, what we would call a shortwave trough, that is coming to the best part of the overall wider trough area in order to, and when that happens, you get rapid storm development, which is what's happening right now. And that's why the system is really going to get going and wrap up. And then the surface low is going to race to the north, because one thing you can see on here too, it's a little hard to see, but you have also a pretty good healthy jet stream moving things right along at this point. And so the storm is going to kind of race to the north in a lot of ways. And before that, it's going to give us a lot of precipitation. Now we are the storm is going to go to our west, which means we're on the east side of the storm, which is the side that the warm air is flooding north, which is why, once again, we're going to start as snow, hold on to snow for quite a while, but then eventually definitely change to maybe a period of sleet, which didn't really happen with the last system, but there's a chance that we'll get a little bit of sleet, and then we'll change to rain across all areas and all elevations. But this time, probably more than half of the precipitation falls as snow at elevation this time. Whereas last time, but we'll probably end up with about the same amount of snow as the last storm. I do have a snowfall map for you later, because we get less overall precipitation out of this storm. Last time, liquid equivalents were often 2 to 2.5 inches. This is more like a 1 to 1.5 inch storm in liquid equivalent. So about a half of the total amount of precipitation, but a higher percentage of it falls as snow, if that makes any sense. To kind of set the stage, here's what temperatures are doing across southern Vermont. You can see a lot of upper 20s, some low 30s as we head through. So we are kind of marginally cold enough, and we're kind of marginally cold enough at all levels. You can see we're not really much colder here at Stratton, where we're in the upper 20s, as we are in some of the valley locations. Basically, everybody is pretty similar in temperature-wise. And so that gives us, everybody will start off as snow. Temperatures will actually probably come up a little bit, maybe especially in the valleys, a little bit above freezing today. But as we start to moisten up the atmosphere, that'll draw the temperatures down a little bit as precipitation starts to affect us after dark tonight. And oops, there, my map went out. But yeah, we essentially are going to be looking at temperatures cold enough for snow to start before the warmer air starts to move in aloft. So here's one of models run. This is not necessarily exactly how it's going to come out, but you can kind of see how it develops. Again, very similar to last time. As the warm front moves through, first we start as snow, and then basically the valleys start to change first from south to north, and then of course at elevation we start to. And you can see that pretty quickly we actually clear out most of the heaviest precipitation. That upper level low will swing through on Sunday and will bring us some more showers and thunderstorms. But you can also see this happens pretty quick. This is an hour by hour model. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't you like how I can count? 7, maybe 7 hours of steady precipitation. That's pretty quick hit. But you can see a lot of it at elevation falls as snow, maybe some sleet mixed in at the end, which is going to mean that we get a decent amount of snow. I think this will be a net positive for the ski areas again. It's not great snow. It's not exactly the kind of snow that they're looking for, but it's a net positive to adding to some of these bases so that they can either make snow on top of it to help out. They can groom it in. That'll help. Or if we get some natural snow, which is possible next Tuesday, that'll be good on top of it as well. So things have been trending in the right direction, even as this is not the best weather pattern ever. Whoops, going the wrong direction. All right, so let's take a look at that snowfall map. As you can see, the green area here, basically less than an inch, and anything that you get will definitely be washed away. It includes valleys, southern areas. Certainly, this is not a snowstorm for most of Massachusetts. Even eastern New Hampshire, I think, southeastern New Hampshire ends up avoiding most of the most accumulation of snow. Certainly the Hudson River Valley as well. And yeah, anyways, all that area, no, not really any snow. We get up in elevation a little bit, 1 to 3 inches for a lot of areas. This is somewhat elevation dependent. That's areas I would say 750 to 1,000 feet, 1 to 3 inches of snow, maybe 500 feet to 1,000 feet. But then we get into kind of above 1,000 feet, 1,000 to 1,500, 1,000 to 1,700 feet or so, 3 to 5 inches of snow as we head along the greens, also up in the Adirondacks certainly, and in as we head up into northern New Hampshire, certainly more snow at elevation there. And then 5 to 8 really for the ski areas. For a lot of the ski areas, they'll end up, again, decent amount of snow out of this. This will obviously be compacted down by the sleet and the rain that falls on top of it, but not as much as last time because not as much rain is going to fall on top of it. Instead of like an inch of rain on top of 7, 8 inches of snow, you're going to get maybe a couple tenths of an inch of rain, quarter inch of rain maybe on top of the snow. So not quite so bad. That'll be good. Again, trying to look for the positives here. Then finally, we're going to also talk a little bit about wind. This is basically, I learned from the last system, right? I think we're likely to have power outages in the same places, not quite as strong on the winds as the last storm, which ended up not as windy as maybe modeled. And particularly, there was a thought with the models last time, and even some of the discussion that eastern places would end up with a decent amount of power outages. That did not end up happening. We did get pretty, not as widespread as I thought we would, but we got a decent amount of power outages in Rutland and Bennington counties. That's definitely likely again. So if you live in Rutland County and Bennington County, you probably want to prepare to lose power for up to a day. I don't think it's going to be tremendously bad, but you definitely could lose it again. I think most areas in the green here, except for maybe on the backside, there could be a power outage or two with the westerly winds, which will definitely gust at 30 to 40 miles an hour, maybe 45 miles an hour as well. In the yellow areas here, you could definitely see wind gusts up to 50, maybe 55 miles an hour, which is definitely enough to cause a decent amount of power outages. But nothing, I'm not as worried about it based basically on what happened out of the last system. Sometimes you can just learn from systems that kind of follow. This is following a very similar evolution of a storm, and it's not quite as strong as the last system, and the difference between it and the high pressure to our northeast is not quite as big, so it's definitely not going to be quite as much of a problem. So again, and basically if you lost power on middle of the week, then that's the worst spots. Unfortunately, it's the same people who are going to be at most under the gun for potential to lose power out of this system. If we take a look at what that actually looks like for a forecast today, we got a little bit of sun this morning after we had some flurries overnight last night. Clouds will quickly build this afternoon, by midday today and this afternoon. Like I said, I'll give you timing, but basically by 10 o'clock or so tonight, snow is starting to break out. That'll change to rain, although some of the higher elevations will hold on to snow almost all night. It'll be breezy, particularly on the western and northern and western parts of the hills. Breezy, and everybody's basically rain by tomorrow morning, but that ends relatively early. The steady rain, at least, temperatures do spike up into the mid 40s by tomorrow afternoon before we start to cool back off. We could definitely be slippery Saturday evening as temperatures fall below freezing. Obviously, if they get out, you need to get out and salt those roads and things like that. But before that happens, or even as it's happening, it could be a little slick there. Same thing on Sunday morning. Definitely a chance of breezy and some flurries, and those flurries could be snow showers and even some snow squalls as the upper level system moves through. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That could mean that we could definitely have some slippery spots. So if you're heading back, if you're up for the weekend to ski or anything like that, and you're heading back over the mountains on Sunday, you want to be careful. Just there could be some spots that get slippery briefly with some of these snow showers, and they can be sometimes that's some of the trickiest travel is just when you run into a snow shower, you're not really expecting the changing conditions. So you're just going to be careful about that on Sunday. If you're out driving, nothing to be too worried about, but just aware of. And some places, some upslope spots could get an inch or two of snow out of this. Wouldn't be shocked at all. And then we cool back off and get kind of seasonably chilly Sunday night into Monday. Let's take a look at the week, at those highlights for us. First, we'll do the storm highlights, and we'll talk about the weekend highlights in general. Snow begins between about 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. and transitions to rain somewhere in the 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. range. Could still definitely be slippery tomorrow morning if you need to get out before it sort of gets dealt with and rain gets washed away. I would think anytime after, even at higher elevation, anytime after about 8, 9 o'clock, it's probably pretty good. But before that, it could be still slippery. Steady rain ends between about 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Saturday. Roads will likely be slippery above 750 feet. There you go. And winds will cause power outages on the west of the Green Mountains. Basically, if you lost it the other day or your neighbors lost it, then you're under the gun potentially to lose power one more time. Weekend highlights: snow flurries this morning give way to mostly cloudy skies, although a little bit of sun early. Tonight brings wind, snow, and rain to the area. Rain tapers to showers by mid-morning Saturday. Snow showers and squalls likely Sunday, which could lead to some slick spots. And then we have a chance of another storm on Tuesday. That one should be all snow if it happens. That one is one of these. Is it going to go too far out to sea to hit us or not? The models have not really come to any kind of agreement. They've all been on the side of no snow and a storm that doesn't even really happen and kind of gets sheared out to sea, and also on the side where we get snow out of it, and they kind of bounce around in the mid-range and the middle to long range of the forecast models here. I'm thinking by Sunday we should have a little bit more clarity on that, maybe even by tomorrow afternoon. If it becomes a thing where we're really going to have a storm, I'll probably be back on Sunday afternoon with an update on that one. I'll definitely be back on Monday morning with a look at your work week forecast. So by that point, we should definitely have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. But if it starts to look like the storm is really likely to happen on Tuesday, by Sunday afternoon, I'll have an updated forecast for you then. Lots of forecasts. This is a good reason to subscribe, right? You subscribe because you're not just getting the Monday and Friday forecast right now, but you're getting all sorts of forecasts. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel before, you should do so. I'm real close to 1,000 subscribers, and it would just be nice to get to 1,000. That would be kind of fun. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. They help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy. They really make it happen. And so if you're interested in what some of the benefits you get from being a patron or what it means to become a patron, you can check there's a link in the description of the video below that will take you to my Patreon page. And there's some description about what to do. Okay, thanks for that, and I will be back, like I said, maybe Sunday if the storm looks like it's more likely to happen, and I'll definitely 100% be back on Monday morning with a look at your work forecast.